Every morning when I wake up, I see footsteps on my ceiling. Today, I finally found out why. By the Reddit user, not necessarily. I slowly opened my eyes and stared at the flecks of dust floating in the air, illuminated by the sharp beams of sunlight from my blinds. I turned around to now lay flat on my back and noticed the footsteps on my ceiling once more. They were like charcoal on white sheets. It looked as if someone was stepping in soot barefoot and then walking all over my ceiling. The prints themselves seemed to belong to an adult. They made a trail around my ceiling before disappearing completely, at a certain point leaving no explanation for how they were made. I vividly remember the first morning I saw them. My chest felt empty as a strong sense of unease coursed through my veins, leaving my throat dry. I gulped down a glass of water on my bedside table. I couldn't sleep in my room for the next few nights. They appeared every day until I grew desensitized to them. The phenomenon was just another repressed thought in the back of my head throughout the day. My fresh fear from the first day had dampened to just a worrying thought. I accepted the footsteps as part of my day and didn't think much of them until last night, when I finally got to see what was making those footsteps. I went to bed as normal, that night not giving as much of a thought to the footsteps. After 10 minutes of rolling around in bed, I managed to fall asleep. At some point in the night, however, I was roused awake by a strong itching sensation on my face. I was still half asleep at this point and didn't process anything. I lifted my hand trying to scratch my face when I felt strands of what felt like hair touching my fingertips. A deep primal instinct took me over, and I clawed at the hair with both my hands frantically. I made the mistake of opening my eyes to try to see something, only for all the hair to go into my eyes. A moaning sound from above me stopped me in my tracks and made my blood in my veins turn to ice. I froze and strained my ears to listen to any sound apart from my ravaging heartbeat. The hair slowly slid off my face as I heard thudding footsteps on the ceiling. The dots slowly connected in my head as I realized what was happening. With a shaky hand, I reached out and turned on my bedside lamp to light up my room and get a better view of the dark figure I could now see on my ceiling. As the light illuminated my room, chills ran up my spine. There was a woman. At least, that's what it looked like, although I doubt the thing was even human. Standing upside down on my ceiling. Her face was devoid of any features except for two large black eyes that reminded me of a bird's eyes. Those eyes were empty and devoid of life, like the glass eye of a mannequin, yet stared right through my soul. She was dressed in a dirty white gown that seemed to defy gravity. It looked like someone had just flipped her upside down, but gravity had not taken its effect yet. The only part of her that seemed to be affected by gravity was her hair, which hung low from her head. I backed up against the wall as the thing stepped closer to me. Adrenaline coursed into my veins as a strong desire to stay away from the anomaly bloomed in my gut. The thing moaned again and came closer to me. It was at this moment that an animalistic instinct of survival overcame me and I lashed out. The thing, now startled, seemed to step back. I continued to scream and lash at the thing, and it went further and further back, probably recompositioning itself before cornering me again like a predator, readying itself to catch its prey. As it stepped backwards, though, I heard a loud cracking sound that sent chills up my spine. A sound that I would later learn to be flesh hitting the dull metal blades of my ceiling flint. The creature let out an ear-piercing shriek before falling down from the ceiling. I looked up and noticed that its legs were still attached to the ceiling, but were now clear of the spinning fan blades. The creature writhed in agony as I ran over to it and called 911 quickly. By the time the police came, only the legs of the creature were left attached to the ceiling, while the rest of the creature seemingly disappeared in thin air. My case was obviously moved to higher ranks as, over the course of the week, several tough-looking men visited my house and interviewed me, and also searched my house. I didn't know much about the creature, but I heard the higher-ups talking about how the creature seemed to have weaker flesh and no bone, which is why my ceiling fan was able to cut it through it. They made me sign several non-disclosure documents, and a couple of others that I barely read. It was apparent that I must sign these papers or I would be silenced. You may be wondering why I'm risking a great deal by sharing my story here. The thing is, I wouldn't have told my story until what happened this morning. This morning, when I woke up, I saw something on my roof that brought back the same terror from that night. Handprints. Thank you all so much for listening today. I know that was a short story, but I think it was really good. I really enjoyed the twist where it was handprints at the end. I hope you guys have a great day, night, week, year, month, and everything. Goodbye.